a very proud, dedicated father of four beautiful children. I strongly advocate of raising them and becoming caring, compassionate human beings that will contribute to this amazing country. I'm in love with this country and I want my kids to appreciate this country.
Hello, and welcome to the Attorney Post, your guide to the inside scoop when it comes to all things legal. And now, here's our host, Justin West.
All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to The Attorney Post, where we discuss what's going on in various facets of the law with lawyers at the top of their game to help you navigate the ins and outs of various legal fields and jurisdictions. Because, as I always say, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. Today, I'm actually very pleased to be joined with Simon Etehad of Etehad Law. It is an injury law firm out in Beverly Hills, and we're going to jump over and take a look at his website right now. For the record, this is actually my second interview with Simon. We had a recording issue before, and so we're redoing the podcast, and I really appreciate him being here again for the second podcast and putting up with me a whole second time through. Hopefully it's not too painful for you. This is his website. It is Etehad Law. That is ETEHADLAW.com. As always, we'll have a link down below in the description for you guys. And you can also reach them by phone at 310-550-1220. So, Simon, how are you doing today?
Excellent. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, before we get started, as always, we're going to jump over and read from those sponsors. Our first sponsor today is National ERC. You may have noticed the world went through a pandemic recently, and many businesses were forced to shut down, reduce their hours, and had supply chain issues, interruptions, and ultimately suffered from reduced revenue in 2020 and 2021. What you may not know is that Congress recently passed the CARES Act, which allocated $400 billion in stimulus funds for small businesses that never needs to be paid back. This is not a loan like the PPP or Paycheck Protection Program. This is free money for your business that National ERC is helping small businesses get right now. They're helping small businesses get the most money they can, and you can calculate and see how much you could get by visiting nationalerc.org. The average small business that they work with gets over $200,000 to invest back in their business that never needs to be repaid. The calculator is completely free, and there's never any fee unless they secure funding for you. Visit nationalerc.org. Our second sponsor at the top of the show is Groove Funnels. If you love spending $5,000 to build a new website and you love monthly hosting fees of tens of thousands of dollars as well over the course of a year, then by all means keep doing whatever it is you're doing. But if you're like me, you hate that stuff. And that's why I personally recommend Groove Pages, the all-new, all-in-one website sales funnel platform from internet marketing legend Mike Filsaime. Visit theattorneypost.com/groove to sign up today for free and build a complete website, really, truly at no cost. There's no cost to build. I believe you can build actually up to 3 fully functioning websites. Visit theattorneypost.com/groove. It really is a Swiss Army knife of a tool. They've got a huge list of apps on the platform that'll make it a webinar platform, a sales funnel, a website, a blog, an affiliate program, whatever it is you want to build, you can build it with Groove Funnels. Get started today. No credit card needed. Visit theattorneypost.com/groove. All right, so I am back here. Let me jump back over here so we can see myself and Simon. I don't know why my thing is not. There we go. Technical issues always happen. Well, I am joined again with Simon, and he is the founder of Etehad Law. He's an accomplished trial attorney with over 25 years of experience, an impressive track record of settlements and trial verdicts, having successfully recovered millions of dollars for his clients throughout his career. In addition to his legal work, Simon is widely known in his community for his selfless dedication to and leadership of many nonprofit organizations. He received his JD from Seattle University School of Law back in the 90s, and he founded the first Jewish legal society for his law school. His legal skills are demonstrated by his recent victory in Adout versus Heck Machat. I did not practice saying that beforehand, so hopefully I got it close to right, where he obtained a favorable appeal and subsequent order vacating an arbitral award. Despite long-standing legal precedent and arbiters' reluctance to award relief, Simon successfully convinced the Court of Appeals that the arbiters had incorrectly applied the law, leading to a new legal precedent. Simon's professional affiliations include memberships in the Consumer Attorneys Association of Los Angeles, the CAALA, the Consumer Attorneys of California, CAOC. He's also a board member of NESA and FIDF, and also an honorary board member of LATLC. Simon has been recognized for his legal work with numerous awards and honors, including being a super lawyer in 2015, 16, 2021, 22, and 23. He is a life member of the Multi-Million-Dollar Advocate Forum and was also included in the top 50 jury verdicts in California in 2019. He's fluent in English, Hebrew, and Farsi. And first question, as always, Simon, is What did I miss? It was a mouthful.
You did great. No, I think what I would add is that I'm a dedicated father of four beautiful children and a strong advocate of raising them to becoming caring, compassionate human beings who contribute to our great nation.
That's awesome. I noticed you have a great love of this country, and I love that absolutely. I get the flag behind you. I think that's gorgeous. It's absolutely amazing. Well, Simone, let me ask you this: if I didn't know anything about you, and obviously we've already spent some time together because again, recording snafu, but if I didn't know anything about you and I asked you what you did, could you give me a short pitch for your firm? What do you do, and who do you serve?
Look, being practicing law for 27 years, Etehad Law is a boutique law firm in the heart of Beverly Hills. I'm proud to tell you that my clients have my cell phone. They can stop by, talk to me. I am their advocate, and from beginning to end, if there are issues that I don't handle, I find them counsel that does specialize in those fields of law, and I hold their hands as much as possible.
Awesome. Awesome. So you have a very personalized touch to what you're doing. Well, let me ask you this then, someone. Obviously, you've been practicing law for quite some time. What got you into law, and why trial law in particular? What led you down this path?
My philosophy in life has always been to leave people better than I find them, since I was a teenager. And the field of law is something that allows me to do exactly that. You find somebody who's down and out and in trouble, you help them out. So that would be the main reason.
Gotcha. No, that makes a lot of sense. And it's the nice thing about injury law is usually you're working with people that sometimes they're about as bad of a condition as they can be, and sometimes they don't have other recourse. I've always really respected injury attorneys because you guys really kind of are a stopgap in the law that makes sure people who don't have legal representation can get the legal representation that they need. I know sometimes injury attorneys are the butt of many jokes, right? But when you need one and they're there, they can do such great good and help you get as close to normal as possible. So I've always been a big fan of that. Well, I just read from a couple of sponsors. One of them was National ERC, and that was referencing the pandemic. One of my most interesting experiences has just been talking with attorneys about how the pandemic affected them. Obviously, we seem to be on the upswing. We seem to be getting out of the pandemic, and God willing, it's done and over. And whatever harms have been done, hopefully we can just put it all past us. But I am curious, how did the pandemic affect you, and how did it affect your practice? How did it affect your law practice, the way you work with the courts? How did it affect your clients?
Look, personally, Justin, I did not let the pandemic stop me. I would come to the office every day, had my suit and tie on. I would do my best to meet as many clients as possible. In my office. As a matter of fact, I expanded my office and it grew. The unfortunate part was that everything else became this Zoom issue, deposition, court appearances. I loved going to court. I loved walking inside the court, saying good morning to the judge. And we kind of derailed everything and went into this Zoom mode. And unfortunately, we are not out of it yet. And I'm doing my best to get out of it.
Yeah, I've had a lot of people say that they were kind of frustrated with the idea of like a Zoom trial. Even you can't make that human connection with people. I appreciate Zoom. Obviously, it lets me do the podcast and meet as close to face with people I'd never be able to meet face to face with in a practical sense. So I appreciate the convenience of it, but I can definitely understand how it adds a human touch to what sometimes would never be a human situation. But when you're already used to that face to face stuff, it almost takes away some of the humanity, I would imagine. So I get that. And so your firm grew during the pandemic, and you guys really didn't have any issues with shutting down or whatnot.
We expanded the office. The office grew. We moved the office in the heart of Rodeo Drive. Some employees wanted to work remotely, and some clients wanted to meet remotely. But essentially, no, I did not let the pandemic stop me personally.
Awesome. Well, Simone, let me ask you something. I always like to ask people about, some of their biggest successes and some of their biggest failures in their practice of law. I firmly believe, sometimes your practice is defined by the cases you're most proud of, but sometimes you're also defined as a human by some of the setbacks that you experience in your practice of law and how you grow from them and what you learn from them and how you take care of your clients. Can you tell me about one of your most recent cases that was a big success that you're most proud of, one of those feathers in your cap, so to speak?
Let's pick an example of this. A few months ago, I had a case against an AV-rated law firm who represented my client in a very complex business litigation. I didn't file a lawsuit. I didn't go to arbitration. Just going through back and forth correspondence, I was able to show this law firm that they dropped the ball, and they ended up paying my clients close to $2 million. So, thinking ahead and strategizing, I love it, and it's helpful.
Awesome. Well, I'm sure in your career you've also had maybe some mistakes or things that didn't quite go your way. Can you share a time when you maybe experienced a mistake or a setback and what you learned from it, how you carry that forward to help your clients?
Look, we all make mistakes. At least we are all human, and I learn from them. I admit to it, and I try my best never to repeat it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you this. What is something that you wish you would have known when you got started in your practice of law? Something that you've kind of learned over the years, that you wish you would have known when you began this journey?
I think surrounding yourself with experienced attorneys who want to elevate you, who want to teach you, who want to hold your hand and show you the right way to doing stuff. That has been something that I wish I would have known from 1996 when I opened my own office and I started my practice. I learned it throughout the years, and now I want to be that person to those young attorneys.
Gotcha. So what would you say is your biggest failure that you've experienced, and what did you learn from it?
I think it was some 20 years ago. I did a jury trial in a Santa Monica court. I didn't have a favorable results, and it was because client was exaggerating her injuries, and her injuries were the symptoms had nothing to do with the case, but the jury did not like that, and I should have been more conscious of that, and that scarred me for some time. It's difficult to do a jury trial, and when the jury doesn't follow you, it's just heartbreaking.
I can imagine. So I'm assuming you make sure that your clients are not over exaggerating things and making sure that they're representing their harms as accurately as possible to make sure you don't put yourself in that situation again. That would make sense. Well, so what's one of your biggest successes? I know we talked about the Adot case, and I don't know if I'm saying that correctly, but what was your biggest success, and what did you learn from that?
The Adot case, probably one of my biggest successes. The case started some 15 years ago. It lasted for 13 years. I was in arbitration for about a year and a half. I lost the arbitration. It was a binding arbitration. I appealed it to the Court of Appeal. It became a published opinion. I ended up winning the appeal, going to trial court. The trial court sent me back to another arbitration. I won that arbitration in the tune of about $16.5 million. And from that arbitration award was appealed. The defendant filed for bankruptcy. I had to sue for fraudulent transfer. Unfortunately, the defendant died. So one time I was in 4 different courts. I was in the bankruptcy court, Court of Appeal, probate court, and LA Superior Court. But I was relentless, and I wanted to do justice, and I got justice. Took some time, but I ended up getting the justice.
That's crazy. 13 years. Is that, I don't know what the record is for the longest court case, but I mean, that has to be at least on the very far end of the bell curve.
I had my 4 kids during during the whole span of this case, and I would say to everybody, maybe my wife gave birth to those kids. I kind of feel like I gave birth and went through the same suffering with this case.
I can imagine. I can imagine there's a lot of pain involved, and 13 years of pain.
Yeah,
Not to downplay what our wives go through, because I will say
no.
the birth of my first child was one of the hardest things I ever went through, and I was just a passive observer, right? But stretch that over 13 years. That's an awful lot. So I can definitely imagine that is intense. Well,
Yeah.
what's something, Simone, that has really surprised you? What's a case that really has kind of surprised you in your practice of law, where maybe things turned out differently than you expected, or just really kind of blindsided you in a good way or bad?
I think that maybe a year ago on a case, solid case, they just called me and says, "Hey, I'm not going to give you over $50,000. That's my limit, not a penny more." I filed a lawsuit. I think it took us like 9 months of discovery and some depositions, and a new adjuster showed up and offered the policy limit of $1 million. By the way, when I told the client $50,000, honest to goodness, she was kind of, was thinking, "Oh, okay, maybe you can push it a little bit to 100 and we can wrap it up." And
Yeah.
I had to explain to her, she had a solid case, great case, and we won the battle.
That's awesome. That is a huge win. It's was it 20 times more than what they were originally offering. So you can't argue with those numbers. Those are great numbers.
So,
I mentioned before, I know that injury attorneys have a lot of misconceptions about them, who they are, how they work, hence there's all those jokes, lawyer jokes are a thing, right? The very fact that lawyer jokes are a
yeah.
thing tell you people just, oh, I don't like the lawyer, right? But everyone doesn't like the lawyer till they need the lawyer, and then all of a sudden the lawyer becomes your best friend. What is one common myth about your profession, Simone, that you would like to debunk?
Look, people think that attorneys are greedy and they only care about money. I, like many other compassionate attorneys, I mean, I take my cases, um, I take on many cases, and I sometimes make little to no money, but I want to do justice for my clients, and I want to help them in their life. So greed is not part of why I do what I do, or most attorneys.
Gotcha. Um, Has there ever been a case, if I can ask you just one kind of extra question on that, has there ever been a case where you actually didn't come out ahead financially? Like you threw everything in it to win it for the client, and maybe you spent more than, I know injury attorneys get a cut or a little bit of they work on a contingency fee basis, which again is what makes the law accessible to people. But have you ever thrown everything at a case and came out with a win for the client, even if it wasn't a win for yourself? Or, is it always still ultimately a win for everybody?
Many cases are like that. Even the Ahdud case, if you put the Ahdud case and place all the time that I've spent all these years on one case, and you divide the money that I ended up recovering, it's not a big win. I mean, you could do multiple other cases and make a lot more money. So, yeah, many cases. But honest to goodness, Justin, it's not only about the money.
Yeah.
It's about helping somebody else. I mean, I wasn't born to this on this planet Earth, and I did not move to this great country just to care about myself. I mean, I like helping people, especially my clients.
That's awesome. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I mean, that exactly backs up your statement, right? You really are here about the justice. I guess if it was really just about the money, you could go be a corporate lawyer somewhere, right? But you're in here fighting for the little guy and trying to make sure that they get their comeuppance, right?
Yes.
Well, that's great. Here in a minute, I'm going to ask you our final question. And my final question involves my magic pen. And with this magic pen, when I give it to you, you can use it to edit a law that's on the books. You can add a new law that's on the books that isn't there that should be. You can strike a law from the books that is there but shouldn't be, or you can edit a law to make it more of a fair law. And this could be a major law with sweeping ramifications that affects the entire country. It could be a stupid little tiny law. that makes you fill out forms in triplicate 8 times a week and just drives you nuts, right? So in a minute, I'm going to ask you what law would you change and why if I gave you my magic pen. Before I do that, though, we are going to jump back over one more time and take a look at your website. And this is, again, Etehad Law. I am talking with Simon Etehad of the law firm that bears his name. You can visit him online at etehadlaw.com. Link, as always, down below in the description. And again, you can also give him a phone call at 310-550-1220. I assume people can request a free consultation with you guys if they have a case and they can figure out what their rights are if they want to pick up the phone and call or fill out a form. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. We're going to jump over really quickly and read from our last sponsor, and then we'll come back and get the answer to the magic pen question. Our final sponsor is Rank with News. If there was a guaranteed way to get your law firm or business featured in major national publications like Yahoo News, Forbes, Bloomberg, and others, and then to see those articles rank locally, sometimes in under 8 hours for major competitive keywords that people were looking for, what else would you need to know? Rank with News is simply the most powerful way to hit page 1 in under 2 weeks safely, organically, and permanently. This is guaranteed SEO or search engine optimization, and it's on steroids, ranking quickly and sticking. Visit rankwith.news or rankwithnews.com to learn more and book a time to speak with a specialist about being featured or featuring your firm or business in major national 8-figure traffic sites that can launch you to page 1 in a matter of hours and help you dominate your local marketplace. Get media exposure, rank higher in Google, build credibility, and win more customers and clients with Rank with News. All right. So magic pen time, Simon. If I give you my magic pen, and with this magic pen, you can make a change to a law. It could be a big change, little change, national law, local law, etc. What law would you change and why?
Like many states, California has a law in the books that limits the amount of money an injured patient can recover and receive, even after the jury finds that his or her doctor committed medical malpractice, if the doctor acted below reasonable standard of care. So the cap in the state of California for non-economic damages was $250,000. This year it became $350,000. So I'll probably use your pain to increase that. I don't think $350,000 is a fair amount for a patient that is left disabled for the rest of their life.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and you've got pain, you've got suffering, you've got therapy, you've got all of these things, and to have your whole quality of life, totally taken away from you. I've always found it fascinating that certain places, certain states put on the law a cap like that. I think, if the jury awards a verdict, the jury awards a verdict, and they shouldn't be restrained, at least not in an unreasonable fashion. So that makes a lot of sense.
Agreed.
100%. Well, Simon, I know you're a very busy man in beautiful California, beautiful Beverly Hills. I do appreciate your time talking with me today. I always like to give my guests the last word as well. Do you have any last words of wisdom you'd like to leave our client or leave our listeners with?
I think my philosophy in life, I live it with everybody. I think you should leave people better than you find them. Doesn't matter who, janitor, the person you buy your coffee from, your client, your doctor, whoever you meet. That is my philosophy in life, and I think I love that.
I like that. That's it's a take on the golden rule, right? Or even the Boy Scout motto: do a good turn daily. Leave it better than you found it, right? So I think that
Yes,
if everyone would
absolutely.
follow, if everyone would do that, I think the world would definitely be
I agree.
a better place. Well, Simon, thank you very much for being on the podcast today. I do appreciate your time and your busy schedule. If you guys are listening to this podcast via YouTube, we always do appreciate a like, a subscribe, and a share. If you're listening to this on any of the podcast repositories at Audible, Amazon, Stitcher, Spotify, we also appreciate a rating, a review, a share, whatever makes sense. As always, this has been The Attorney Post, and I've been chatting with Simon Etehad of Etehad Law. As always, this podcast that we talk about legal topics does not constitute legal advice. And if you do have a legal issue, you should always seek the advice of a competent attorney in your area who focuses on the matter you need help with. However, if you live in California, particularly around Beverly Hills, and you're having an issue where you've been injured due to somebody else's fault, Simon and his law firm seems like they would be a wonderful resource to reach out to. So as always, links are in the description below. And if you know someone that could benefit from hearing this information, please feel free to share this podcast with them. Because as I always say, if you don't know your rights, you don't have any. Until next time, thanks for listening, guys, and we'll be in touch. Bye-bye.
Take care.